I'm Jen.
And I'm Craig, and this is The Nut Project.
And we are more than halfway through our 30 days to closer. So go team, we're super proud of you guys. And even if you've missed some days, in fact, this weekend, the Friday challenge totally got away from us, which I wasn't totally excited about Friday's challenge because it was all the ways that he sometimes feels disrespected by me. So it was easy for me to put that one off. But I persevered and asked you yesterday, right? And
yes.
we had a good short little conversation about that. So today we get to talk about things that he does that make me feel in love. So I'm sure he's totally looking forward to that conversation too.
Yep.
So anyway, we just wanted to encourage you guys to keep going strong. It's always awesome to go back and revisit days that you missed, and no pressure, but I think it's been really fruitful for us, especially the whole love language test deal. So we actually read that book sometime in the beginning of our marriage, right? And at that time, Craig's love language was words of affirmation. And words of affirmation is not my love language. So let's say we've been married for 16 years. Say we read it 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever. I had 12 years to perfect my words of affirmation towards Craig. And I got so much better. And then he takes the test and he sent me a link to his results. And his number one love language was not words of affirmation anymore. It wasn't dead.
Receiving gifts.
Go ahead.
I was just as surprised as she was. But the thing is that as I was thinking about the questions they were asking and the nature of the questions, and they really wanted you to think about what blesses you and what touches your heart, and answering them honestly, that's kind of how it stacked up. I think out of a total of 12 possible, it was an 11, which is really interesting.
It's really stressful for me.
Yeah, so top three, I mean, words of affirmation was still in the top three, but it was by far the strongest one. As we were talking about this, it made me kind of really evaluate like why it kind of took over the others. And in thinking about how God's been working in my life and how he shows me love, you think about parents who want to shower gifts on their children, and not from a materialistic standpoint. I'm not saying like this is, you've got all of the American Girl dolls, or you have all of the G.I. Joe. Well, they don't do G.I. Joes now. I'm not sure what they have now, but yeah, whatever. Boy toys or girl toys. You don't have all those things, but it's really about the quality time and the spending of the time and really investing in that relationship. And one of the ways in particular most recently was a complete surprise was I got invited on a dove hunt by one of my neighbors. It really completely and we didn't really talk much about hunting before that. It just out of the blue he asked me, and I hadn't been dove hunting in probably 30 years. So I had a fantastic time. Reintroduced myself to a love of my childhood, which has been an adjustment for Jennifer as well. I spent a lot of trips to Academy. I was able to complete on my hunter safety course in one night. Finished at 1:30, got past the test, and was up at 5 to go out to go dove hunting. So I'm legal. Texas Department of Parks and Wildlife. But I think that it was really surprising to me was just how essential it is for me to feel love is by getting something that's uniquely for me, that speaks to my heart, that is for you may not be anything at all. Like, for example, there may be many of you out there that could care less about hunting. She's one of them. But for me, I spent so much of my childhood, and there's so many happy memories that I have being out in the woods with my friends, and just reconnect with that.
I think what also made it so special was that it was right after we got some really bad news.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like God was saying to you, I know life sucks right now, and it is hard, and you are out of control, like you don't know what's going to happen, but I want you to know I'm still thinking about you. I still love you. I'm going to give you this to help you get through, because those little happy things, especially those unexpected happy things, are what fuels us to continue going on and being able to face the hard things. And so I thought that was so great how God could bless Craig through that. I was less than thrilled that it was receiving gifts, because it's hard for me I always want to come up with the best idea and the most special and that will just knock his socks off. And so I'll put all this time and investment in it, and then like he opens it and he's like, oh wow, golly gee, thanks, and they because that's kind of how you go. So I have two choices here. I could say, oh my gosh, I've spent all this time trying to fill you up with words of affirmation, and now I have to switch gears and figure out how to totally bless you by receiving gifts, which was one on my love language thing. But I'm trying to just let go of the anxiety and let go of a kind of a competitive stance about it, and just see what happens, and just try to love him well and the best that I can, and we'll figure it out as we go along. I mean, it only took me 12 years to master words of affirmation. I'm sure we'll have another 12 years where I can master receiving gifts.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time. And I think too, even though it can be frustrating when your spouse, it's kind of like kids, if you think you figured it out and you master them, and then they change and you're like, oh my gosh, it's out of left field. How am I going to cope with this now? But the truth is, I think it makes better people when we have to find new ways to love people well. And because it's not just about loving your spouse, it's about loving the people of this world. And the more experience we have with that, the better we can reflect Jesus' love to other people.
What about yours? You had some surprises for yours?
Well, not really. It was still acts of service. Well, yeah, I think having kids changed before I was words of affirmation. No, I was not words of affirmation. Mm. Yeah, I was quality time and physical touch.
Yes.
And now I'm predominantly acts of service, which I'm feeling very loved today, because it's halftime right now when we're recording this, and I'm going back to the couch and watching the Chiefs play. So that was his way of loving me. He even told the kids, don't bother mom today, she's resting. Oh, awesome. But anyway, the video is getting kind of long now, so we're going to wrap this up. We just want to encourage you to keep going strong. Remember, this is, with this whole love language thing, that just the whole 30 days, this is not about who's putting forth the most effort. This is about really coming together and loving each other well. So I know that I'm the queen of self-protection, and a lot of times, like if we had done this like a few years ago, I would have been constantly just waiting for when Craig would screw up and not love me well, because that was just a way that I could protect myself. And we just encourage you not to do that. Learn from us that it does not work. This is about breaking down walls, not building them up. And so we just want to encourage you to keep going strong. Remember, this is not a competition, but a cooperation. We just came up with that before. Okay, well we hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. See you soon. Bye.
As a shameless plug, anybody who has access to any kind of hunting lease, I'll be happy to go with you.